Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome my listeners and viewers in the United States and all around the world. I am Vince Rocco, and it is Tuesday here in New York City, so let's go behind the headlines and get the real story. Today, we are talking about if you can make it in New York City real estate, you could make it just about anywhere. But first, this is Talking New York Real Estate. And up front today, the adage, if you could make it in New York City real estate, you can make it anywhere, encapsulates the unique challenges and opportunities inherent in the New York City property market. New York City's landscape is one of the most competitive and complex in the world, as we all know, characterized by high stakes, fierce competition, and a fast-paced environment. To have success here demands a deep understanding of market dynamics, sharp negotiation skills, and an ability to navigate stringent regulatory frameworks. Real estate professionals here in New York City must also be adept at leveraging their network and staying resilient and amid intense pressures. Those who thrive in the demanding market often possess a robust skill and a tenacity that equips them to succeed in less challenging environments. Mastering New York City real estate not only signifies exceptional competence, but also prepares individuals to tackle and excel in any real estate market globally. Also, we all have to have a life outside of real estate, and today we're going to talk a little bit about that and about a new reality TV program about to start streaming. We're going to discuss, and we will have all that and so much more as Talking New York Real Estate gets underway on this very hot and rainy Tuesday morning. And in the news this morning, there has been a story brewing the last couple of weeks about online scammers. They just are taking over, or they're not just taking over, rather, your high school friends' Instagram accounts anymore. They're posing fake listings for apartments, and sometimes they're impersonating real brokers on Instagram to trick you into handing over lots of cash. These Instagram apartment scams usually involve someone requesting money before you can tour a gorgeous apartment, according to 10 agents and renters familiar with online scams. Actually, Brick Underground went and spoke to a few of these suspected con artists on Instagram, only to have the conversation die when they didn't fork over the $100 to secure a tour. We will have all that and more as the story keeps going, so stay tuned, but beware. Brooklyn co-op and condo prices hit record highs in the second quarter, even as the number of sales dropped yet again. The median sale price for Brooklyn apartments jumped to $990,000 in the second quarter, the highest price tag on record. Higher condo prices drove that increase, with the median sale price for a condo in the borough rising to nearly $1.1 million. Meanwhile, the median price of a co-op in Brooklyn dropped by 8% to $515,000. Buyers are thrilled, but sellers are not. As pricey New York City neighborhoods go, Hudson Yards continues to eclipse the competition when it comes to the heftiest median sale price, having had the top spot since 2019 on Property Shark's ranking of the 50 most expensive New York City neighborhoods. In the second quarter of 2024, Hudson Yards was number 1, Soho number 2, and the third spot went to Tribeca. The city's top 10 most expensive neighborhoods were with a familiar mix. The report found it's always the same. 8 were in Manhattan and 2 were in Brooklyn. A 100-year-old Upper West Side building that once served as a hotel and senior center is now a luxury condominium. It's right across the street from where I live. The Emery Roth designed tower at 720 West End Avenue has been reimagined by Thomas Jewell Hansen and renovated by BP Architects as 131 new, beautiful residences. Sales started last week, so check it out. Homes are starting at $1 million and they sell to over $12 million. And finally, Barbara Walters' longtime Upper East Side apartment is sold for $14,999, according to public records. The home at 944 Fifth Avenue listed for $19.75 million. It's 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, and she lived there for 30 years until her death in 2022. With me today are Mike Bussey from Real New York Apartments and Compass, and Noah Kaplan, executive producer and star of the new series, $1,000 Listing.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
All right, everybody, we are here today with Mike and with Noah, and we're going to talk about the status of the market as we've been doing the past couple of years. We're going to talk about the topic of the show, which is if you can make it in New York City, you know, real estate, you can pretty much make it anywhere. And as I've said for years, and even when I'm teaching continuing education, this market here in New York City, the way we transact business, the way we transact a deal is so far different than anywhere else, literally around the globe. It sounds like an exaggerated comment, but it really isn't. We do things here that half the time are ridiculous or time-consuming that don't make any sense, yet that's our process. So if you can figure that out, if you can also deal with the people and the population of New Yorkers and the different energies and the different personalities, I mean, really, this is like a training ground to be successful in anything you want to do, I think, anywhere else. So, guys, based on the topic today, if you can make it in New York City, you can certainly make it anywhere else. What do you think about that, Noah? Give me your comments on success, how easy or difficult it is from your perspective, and what you do about it.
That's a great question.
And by the way, it's great to see you again.
Nice to see you. I miss you. And so it's really great to be here. Nice to meet you as well.
Pleasure.
I would just say that New York City is a very capitalistic city. I would say. Okay, you know when you come here, you have to adjust financially, right, to the fact that if you have back in the day, people have all these stories about glorified stories about coming to the city, and if I had $2,000 in my pocket and I made it work. Right now, if you have $2,000 in your pocket, it's very hard to make it work. You have to, I don't know, what's the scenario? You come to the city, you're 22 or maybe 45 or whatever age, and you have
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as they used to say.
Yeah, and you have to, what do? Stay in a friend's couch? Because you're not going to, make sure you have a good credit score. But a lot of these people coming out of college have no idea what a credit score is. And so, or haven't even started one yet or don't have one. So, it can be very brash to start out. That's just starting from the, that's just simply put. But as far as making it here, it is really tough. I have a show called $1,000 Listing that I star on as the agent, and I have all these clients that come in, and it's kind of a comedy and it's a comedy reality because it's like, how do you get started here if you know nothing about New York? And the answer is you don't. you might get kicked out of somewhere, or you might sink or swim. That's what they say.
Face-slapping reality, sometimes I think about it, reality meaning understand where you are, understand your environment, understand what you can and can't do. Everybody comes here, like I said, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, wanting to conquer the world. Yeah, those are great goals, but you got to do it in pieces. Mike, you're also an enormous success in our industry. Young guy, what do you think about all of this success and how difficult it can be, or in some cases, for some people, how easy it can be? Noah brings up a good point. There was a time when you can come to this town with $2,000 and, at least buy groceries, go out and have fun and do a few things. That doesn't fly anymore. You've got to really have a bag full of,
or
cash.
minimum a guarantor who makes 80 times.
Yes, right.
Or 80 times the rent, exactly.
If you can make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere. I grew up in Jersey, and growing up, I thought that meant like if you can physically make it to New York City, and I was like, it's so easy. I hop on the train. New York City is a nightmare for so many reasons. It's so expensive. The barrier to entry is just so high. I have clients who are making 150, 160, and they can't even qualify for like a decent studio. It is the most surreal thing in the world. But when you're, working in real estate, I think New York City is probably a lot more approachable than other markets are, just because there's so much business going on. The apartments realistically sell themselves, where if I'm starting real estate in Ohio, it's going to take me, 18 months to maybe get my first sale. But in New York, I can go do half a dozen rentals in a couple months and pay rent.
Yeah, what we do here in New York City is not sell, and I've said this also for many, many years. We market apartments. Apartments sell themselves, as you just said. So, but we've got to have our finger in the pie to make sure we know how to get that out there so people can see what it is that is available or what it is that we have. Any specific, do you think, skills or qualities that are essential for succeeding here in New York? What kind of skill? Again, we, and I only mean this in the nicest of ways, we are very, very different here in New York City than people anywhere else, and that's not either good or bad, it's just a fact. What are the essential skills that are needed here? Essential skills to make us stand out among the crowd. As I say all the time when I'm teaching, especially social media class, who are you?
Sure.
Why does anybody care?
Yeah.
My famous expression is # so what, who cares?
Right. I mean, I would just
Who are
simply
you?
say try not to get too stuck on drugs, because that is this is a
there you
city
go.
where there's
Great
a lot,
advice.
right? Like there's I mean, I'm just being completely honest here. Like I have a lot of talented friends, a lot of smart people, a lot of aspirational. Obviously, you have to be aspirational to move to New York and try to make it here. You got to be cutthroat. But like on top of that, try not to be drunk all the time. Try not to get stuck on hard drugs, because this is a
I
playground.
still
This
want
city-
my martini on Fridays.
I'm telling you.
this city is a playground. It's literally you can go from 0 to 10, and that's one of the coolest things about the city. But the other issue is you can really get stuck in that, and how are you going to show up to work if you are still high from the night before? So
Obviously, I follow you on social media, and I see you biking all over the place. And I know you live in Brooklyn. Tell us about that. I mean, that's pretty common, city bike notwithstanding. But I mean, that's pretty common. What does that do for you?
I mean, I hate gyms. So I mean, you don't hate gyms. I think you love gyms.
I do love the gym. I just started going
yeah.
though. This is a new development.
Right. So I have trouble with gyms personally because you probably have a calendar that's all set up. I don't have a calendar that's set up
I
besides
don't.
my real estate. Oh, you don't?
Worst.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm
Okay.
the I go 11 a.m. or like 8 p.m. whenever the hell I can get there.
Okay, so you do it.
Lack
okay.
of discipline, okay?
All right.
The youth.
I look
youth.
at you and I see discipline. Okay.
I wish.
Yeah.
I was telling Vince this is the nicest I ever dress. Usually it's t-shirt and jeans. I always dress up for this podcast.
But so the bike is in
So
place.
the bike
of
is in place of the gym. Yeah, it is.
okay.
Because I just have trouble walking myself to the gym, spending an hour and a half there and walking myself.
One might say that workout routine, whether it's in the gym, whether it's on a bike, whether it's whatever you're doing, even at home, is good for our minds as New Yorkers.
Sure.
Kind of gets the adrenaline moving in us on a daily basis, every couple of day basis, to get us out there to be successful. Again, in this town, I don't know, 20,000 agents, exist, maybe more.
Yeah.
How, again, who are you? How do you get through that thick amount of people? I don't know. But those who do, you two are examples. Other people sit back and say, well, what do I do? How do I make this happen? What does one do when they first come here and say, I want to look, I'm moving to New York because that's where the action is. I'm moving to New York because I want to be successful, and I believe the kind of success I want to achieve is only in New York.
Yeah, I mean, look, I started off going to college in Waltham, Massachusetts, arguably the worst place to
Brandeis?
Bentley.
Okay.
Close.
All
very
right.
close.
Well, we
Friend
went
of mine
right.
went
very
Oh,
close
nice.
to each
Okay,
other.
cool. Hated it. I left after a year,
Okay.
and I moved to New York City late February of 2020. So not a very ideal time. I was here for 2 weeks, went back to New Jersey, and then I came back, and it was for that reason exactly. I knew that this was where I would do best. I had no plan. I got into real estate because I was applying for a job at Starbucks while I was in college, and some guy who was helping me find an apartment, literally his exact words, and I think I've said it on the show before, "You're not an idiot. You don't seem like an idiot. Do you want a job?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And then 2 weeks later, I had no money, and I was like, "Hey, I'd love a job,
take it.
please." So, I mean, that's New York City. There's no other place in the world where you have so much opportunity, where you can meet reality TV stars just going anywhere.
You're absolutely correct. But with all that said, there's a lot of competition.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I mean, within our own industry of real estate, or just as people who cohabitate in New York City in general. How do you deal with the competitiveness of just a day to day?
Yeah. Therapy.
Oh my God, right?
Therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. But in
I'm
all
not
honesty,
joking.
though, I
Yeah.
mean, the competitiveness can be, awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
What drives that?
there's different ways to look at how to beat the competition. I just always think, if my clients like me enough or trust me enough, I've done my job. Like, if I can be honest with them, they'll like me. Like, I'll succeed. In New York City, you get a lot of brokers who maybe aren't super transparent, who maybe go about business in a way that I don't recommend. So there's a lot of competition, but I don't think it's a lot of that competition isn't necessarily competition to people such as us. Like, we're really doing everything that we can to kind of reinvent the game. So
Well, you have to be smart about how you approach anything, especially in this business, because there is a lot of competition out there. We all know that. We all have identified that and can see that. So you got to stay focused. You have to understand, what it is. You have to understand what the end goal is going to be. And I think a lot of times people just kind of fly out of the box on a daily basis when they first come here and think, oh, well, the world is my oyster, or New York City is my oyster. I can just grab anything I want. I can do whatever I want. Well, okay. But that doesn't mean that's going to map to success. You got to have a plan. See, my thinking is, and a lot of folks don't. I mean, I honestly did not when I first came here, 30 years ago. I did not have a plan. I just came here working in corporate America. That was easy, right? And then all of a sudden I became a real estate agent and thought, okay, so that weekly paycheck and all those benefits are long gone now. So now it's up to me. So what do I have to do to ensure that I'm going to get paid every week, or that I can afford to buy benefits on my own? I have to figure out how to make this career a success. When I say, a business plan, people look at me like, oh, who has time for that, right? I kind of do everything flying by the seat of my pants. Well, not really. Trust me, it might not have to be written down, but if you look at a lot of the most successful agents in our town, they spend a lot of time thinking about their approach, their business model, their business plan. I worked in corporate America, in technology sales, and every year, starting at IBM, and every year we had a quota.
Yeah.
And whatever the number was, say $1 million a year in technology sales, that was low, but just using numbers. So next year you got 2 million, and the next year you got 3 million. And so every year your manager wanted to know, well, what are you going to do to double what you did last year? Because you can't just say, all right, give me the number and I'll see what I can do. No. How are you going to make that number double or just even more than last year? And I think here in New York City, it's the same thing. As far as just general success in New York City, I think we still have to have a plan. I mean, I love when you say therapy. Your face was amazing when he said that. Like, oh, okay, yes, that does exist. Because there are things that we need to do aside from just our rushed full day to keep our heads in check. The gym is one of them. How important, though, is networking in this town? I mean, again, from a personal perspective and from a business perspective. I mean, we meet people here, significant others, friends, etc. How important is networking?
So I can't stand networking, but I've forced myself. It's the most important thing.
I love the honesty at this table today.
Sorry, I can't help it.
No.
I can't do, the first time we ever spoke, there was no small talk. We were just talking about work, talking about everything, talking about social
right
media.
to the point.
Yeah.
Ton of fun. I think we spoke for 45 minutes on the phone. Networking is the most important thing in the world. I spend a great chunk of my week now just going to, apartments that are opening up, to meet brokers, to chat with people. Even the best friends I've made in the city have been clients of mine. It's real estate. It's the most social business that I could think of. So networking is everything, and I'm sure you're probably the king of networking.
It's interesting. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I have a lot of thoughts. I think going to a networking event is probably one of the things that I think is so not naturally me, going to a networking event.
Agree.
Also, Frederick Eklund's book, I forget what the book title was, but he was never give someone a business card, always take their number. And I just think this whole idea of networking is all on its, it's all ass backwards, no pun intended. I think that, you have to, you obviously want to seem dependable, professional, and someone who knows what's going on in the market for some, so a lot of times, I'll meet someone in a showing, because right now I'm on 4 different building projects. And so they look at me and they say, okay, well, you are, you're someone I can trust, who I think might know about the market. And so there are a lot of leads that come out of that because I work, 4 different building projects. So I think, you have to, it's one of those things where once you get started, you can snowball from there, and you can become more of an insider, industry insider, and someone who's got the knowledge that people want about, hey, what's not on Street Easy and all that stuff, or hey, I have 1 more month to find an apartment. Do you know anyone who can help me out? And then I just connect them with an agent, refer them to someone. So yeah, I think it just so we're circling back to this networking thing. I think networking is just, you can't just like go to a networking event and like sell someone $1 million apartment. You might be able to, but I think it's mostly it comes through doing one thing and the next thing and the next thing. And as you're doing that work, someone thinks of you, they meet you on the job and they say, hey, you are someone who's dependable, who knows what they're literally in the market right now working it. So I'd like, you could be the person that I trust to,
That was perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, it's true. He makes several good points. But you got to be strategic, though, in your thinking, and you got to be strategic in your approach all the time. Just like I said earlier, you got to focus on what you want or how you want to make it. Because if you don't, you're going to fall short, or you're going to spin. The expression "spinning like a top." This is probably one of the only towns where you can literally spin out of control, because you want to do this all the time, and you want to take over everything, and you want to expand as much as you can. But what you don't realize is before you can do that, you got to be strategic, and you got to focus and figure out how you want to get the attention that you need to propel yourself up. All right, look, we're going to take a break. These guys are not going anywhere. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about reality television, $1,000 listing. We'll be right back.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business, and it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
All right, we're back, everybody, with Mike and with Noah. Noah, I've known you for years now. You were a semi-regular on Good Morning New York and have appeared here on Talking New York, and I've watched your career. I'm proud of you. You've done great things.
Thank you very much.
You've also got a lot in your background, musical, as we were talking about during the break. But what I really want to get into at the moment is, your latest venture that you've been working on for a long time. It's a streaming reality show coming out in September.
I have an update on that.
Okay. Called $1,000 Listing. So take it away.
Okay, cool. So, all right, $1,000 Listing started. I put a pilot out in 2016, so it's been a little minute. It's been a minute. So the story there, which I think is kind of cool for this radio show, is, and this is connected to Ryan, is basically I put out this pilot May 16th, 2016, and that was a Thursday night. The next day, it was in the news because I had gotten a couple of media hits for it while I was at Corcoran. A good friend of mine in the PR department helped me with that, connected me with a couple of reporters. And then it just kind of went everywhere, kind of went sort of viral in the news. And then the next morning, literally after the launch on a Friday, Ryan emails me direct and says, I want to be on this show. He wants to be on $1,000 Listing. So I'm like, all right,
Ryan Serhant, by the way.
Ryan Serhant, yeah. He emails me this, direct and said, I've never met this guy in my life. He goes, I want to be on your show. So I was like, that's really cool. And
he's never emailed me. Competition.
So basically, from then like the weekend goes by and I'm just getting texted by all these random people. That was like the first time I experienced what it's like to be a celebrity. It was weird. It was really weird. I hadn't spoken to people in years, and they like reaching out to me, whatever. Then later that week, at some point, I got an email from a production company saying we want to make this a TV show. So then all of a sudden, like it's going kind of crazy in my world, and I had this one guy in my group that actually thought of the name $1,000 Listing. He came up with the title, and we actually are making amends now. But ultimately, we had this like dispute because we couldn't figure out how much of the show he owned and this and that. It was like such a mess. So I'm here now. This is what I'm connecting all this. I hope I don't go too far off the tangent here, but I ended up getting an artist therapist at this moment because I knew that I was in over my head with these 3 other guys that I'd done this pilot with. I got Ryan coming up asking me if he could be in the show. I don't actually, and this is the groundbreaking thing I want to say, I didn't actually want to be on $1 Million Listing or on Ryan's team. I wanted to put out $1,000 Listing. And I had later that year I had a deal with MTV. We had a development deal. And before I get into that, Ryan was like, I met with Ryan 2 weeks after he emailed me. And he goes, why don't you join my team? and then we can get $1,000 listing out there. So because he knows some people at wherever ITV was the production company that wanted us. Anyway, so I said, sure, why not? And my therapist was like, do it. Because I had all these issues with I don't know if I don't want to start selling $1 million real estate, because ultimately I want to put out my comedy show, my comedy reality about the bottom of the market, not the top of the market, right? And so I kind of had this identity crisis all throughout being on Ryan's team for the next 2 years. I did film for $1 Million Listing. They had this whole thing about $1,000 listing appearing in $1 Million Listing, and it was for a 2-episode arc, and they were like, I can get into that as well. But ultimately, for the last 9 years, we've had 5 production deals on $1,000 listing. None of them have gone through to getting it on TV. Most recently, notably, we were with Scout Productions, which did Queer Eye. And so all these production deals go on for some amount of time, months to a year, and it's just like, oh my God, I just want to get out there. So we're now this is my whole full circle moment. We're now finally we're going to film a documentary that basically where we talk about the whole history of this thing, and then we're going to put out the episodes. So I was going to have a launch party literally September 21st in Dumbo. But now I'm working on this documentary, and that is now something that is all connected and it's all forthcoming. So,
tell us a little bit about the premise of. I mean, you alluded to some of it
Sure,
here, but tell us a little bit about the premise of $1,000 listing, because it is not $1 Million Listing.
Yeah. So $1,000 listing is literally the opposite of $1 Million Listing at its face value, right? $1 Million Listing is about $1 million brokers who sell mansions to millionaires and make fat commissions, right? $1,000 listing is the opposite, right? It's reality of 99% of the people out there. It's people moving to the city for the first time with nothing in their pocket, and no credit score. And how the hell am I gonna survive here? Literally going back to Vince's question initially, and so there is a lot of relatable humor there. How the hell do you survive when you don't have a credit score? You're 22 and you have 2,000. If you're lucky, you have 2,000 in the bank. I mean, let's be honest, right? Or you have a parent who has enough money to support you. But it's a wild, wild world out there, especially in New York City.
What are your thoughts, Mike, on reality TV? I mean, there's only been a few real estate related, and there's been some bizarre ones. I don't even know the name of them, but like $1 Million Listing and another new one appeared recently. But what's the thought in your mind with regard to reality TV?
I mean, I'm not a big fan, but $1,000 listing, I'm smiling over it. I'm so excited to watch that. That's going to be great.
Me too. I've seen clips in the past though, so I want to see the
I got to watch the pilot.
Yeah,
Where can I find that?
It's on YouTube.
It is?
Yeah,
okay.
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah,
I want to find that.
Yeah.
Reality TV is great. Some people really enjoy it. There's types of music I don't like, but some people do. So, I think all forms of art are, valuable in some way or another. But I love the comedy aspect because I've seen a lot of these shows with the $1 Million brokers, and a lot of it is in, true to New York. Yeah, a lot of it's stage. And, as someone who works in the industry.
Not factual.
Yeah, it's.
I'll say it.
Real estate is a very glamorous job sometimes, but most of the time it's not. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of a
lot of craziness.
It's a lot of craziness.
But a lot of people tell me all the time, especially when they saw the promo for this show, is they start questioning, and I think I'm going to read that at the end. They start questioning the reality of reality TV, because I think a lot of people over time, in the beginning when $1 Million Listing premiered, I think everybody thought, wow, those New York brokers, they can make my family thought, will you make all that kind of money?
Yeah.
Really? And I'm like, no, no, not like that. And by the way, not all of it was true. So I think people started realizing, okay, once they got to know their agents, friends or whatever, that probably isn't correct. And reality sets in. It's comedy. It's not even comedy. It's something to watch. It's funny. In some cases, the drama was always amazing.
I'm curious. I just want to interject here. I get that you're saying that you're not making tons and tons, but what was your biggest check, Vince, that you've made in your real estate career?
I'm not saying that.
Okay,
all right. Well, I don't know, 150,000.
See, this is what I'm saying. 150,000. That's pretty. That's pretty. Brilliant,
actually,
man.
probably a little more than that because it was a townhouse. $250,000.
$250,000.
Yeah.
In one check.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty baller. I haven't done that.
That's
Have you done that?
No, I don't like.
But that was a townhouse.
Oh
If I could
my
only sell
God.
townhouses, please
Yeah.
bring them to my way. Come on.
Wow,
this way.
this
That's
guy is
gotta feel
pulling out
good.
magic.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He's pulling out magic.
But you get the point. So I'm also, like as Mike said, I'm very interested in watching $1,000 Listing because from a different perspective, a different slant, a comedic. Because after all, when you watched all these other shows, there was not intentional comedy, but we in the industry used to think, oh, come on, really? That can't possibly be, right?
Sure.
And a lot of it I found funny because I knew that it wasn't true. So tell us what the motivation was for you. You said it before that all you wanted to do was get $1,000 Listing on the air. You really didn't want to work on $1 Million. You really didn't want to work, on a real estate team. Why did you want to do this show from the very, very, early concept? What was the impetus when you woke up one morning and said, I can do that, or I want to do it, like this podcast, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I want to do what I want to do. And then I thought, well, you've never done that. How are you going to do that? You don't even know anybody that can help you do that. And then all of a sudden, bang, it happened, right?
Sure. I don't want to digress too much because we are on this real estate show talking about New York City and the updates there. But I will just say this: I will say that
digress. You're allowed.
I will say that 9 years ago, like what I was telling you guys before, I had I was in a group of these 4 guys who were making this show. It was I had done some as an artist. I had made some shows before it. First, it was a music video, and I really enjoyed everything about that, the production of that, and starring on camera and making the music. And then I created a late night show for YouTube that was absolutely awful, but I enjoyed making it. And no one cared about it. And then I just waited for another year until I had some sort of, I was like, I have to come up with a concept that doesn't just rest on me being funny, but it's also completely relatable to a much larger audience. And that's when $1,000 Listing came about. What was your question again? Sorry.
You're right on there, but what was the impetus for you to come up with the concept and then to get it, off the ground, so to speak?
Sure. I would say, look, 9 years ago, I had sort of this. At that point, I was all throughout my 20s, I was trying to find myself. I was going to different group seminars and this and that and whatever therapy. I was trying to find myself. Ultimately, I had this artist mentor in his 60s. Guy, his name is Michael Hofka. He's like all over. He's a installed artist in MoMA and the Smithsonian, like all these places. He's a very, very successful lifetime artist. And he said to me, I was hanging out with him at the time, and he said, you know what, you should get yourself an artist development therapist that's going to be a lifelong therapist for you, and you're just going to, the whole point of this is, you got to,
What is that? Is that a therapist for creative types?
Correct.
Okay.
And he was like, so I went to Psychology Today, and, I was literally looking for the hashtag, like, artist development or whatever, and I found a ton of people that came up. I just like dating.
I don't think they have a therapist to take care of my issues.
There you go.
I can't even imagine.
But ultimately, I was doing some dating. I'm like, the artist, trying to find the right therapist. So I was calling them, just like doing dating. I was trying to find my person, and finally I found this guy, and that was around the period that I thought one of the dudes from the pilot was going to basically sue me. So I was kind of worried about this, and I was paranoid, and I was excited, and I was daunted, and all of this happening all at once. And then this guy ended up being perfect for me because he just sort of helped steer me through all this. So going back to your question, the impetus for $1,000 Listing. Ultimately, you know what? I was in a moment right at the beginning of my real estate career where I was like, what the fuck do I have to lose? I really, ultimately, I want to just be honest with my show. I want to make people laugh. I like performing. I love production, and I'm right at the beginning of my real estate career. What do I have to lose? It's not like I'm like millions of dollars in. That's the other reason why I had an identity crisis about $1 Million Listing. It's not like I'm like 10 years in where I'm like, I've got this whole big book of business. I have to be perfect. I can't, stray outside of the mean. Yeah, what were you going to say?
No. I'm listening.
So I think at that moment, I was like, I'm young. I can, like you, like I was like, hey, I can just do anything right now. I want to do what I love most, which is I like being on camera. I like being off camera. I like making people laugh. I like maybe making people think. And why don't I just bring an honest approach to the opposite of $1 Million Listing? And I'm not like trying to denigrate Ryan or anyone like that. In fact, I have a lot of love and respect for Ryan. it's more so a subtle, funny, sort of subtle knock on MDL. It's like, okay, subtle. It's like, okay, you guys want to talk about this part of the market? We're going to talk about that part of the market. And it's just lighthearted humor.
You're my real estate hero.
Yeah.
You're my new, I'm sorry, Vince.
No. I think I was going to ask you, and I think there is definitely an audience for that because not everyone, as we said before, you want to come to New York, you want to make it, you want to be successful, you want to buy that penthouse that you and I were talking about before the show. Look, not everybody can do that, and not everybody can do that right away, so you got to start somewhere. I believe that this concept is going to appeal to a lot more people than you might think initially. When you hear this story, Mike, and you hear where he's come from and what it's taken to get there, do you have the same kind of aspirations? Do you have plans for, you're already successful, but where you want to take it to the next level?
So I'm working on it.
Because
I like
again,
to think
that's a
I'm
plan
successful,
and
but
that's focus.
What I will say is, something that I was just thinking about is we do, the three of us do three very different things to an extent.
Correct.
For you, getting onto TV or starting a show, there's such a huge barrier to entry.
Yes.
Starting a podcast, there's a big barrier to entry. There's a lot that goes into the equipment. I'm so lucky, and I guess we might be three different generations. I don't know the ages here. For me, there was zero barrier to entry. I had a cell phone, I was in apartments, and that was it. And that started my entire company. It just went from that. I didn't have a microphone.
look where it went to and grew
Yeah.
to. Your presence on social media is phenomenal.
Yeah, and no, I'm very grateful for that.
That in itself is a show.
So
okay.
Yeah, not a very entertaining show, unfortunately.
Yes, it is.
I mean, there's so much behind the scenes.
Facts.
Where it's just,
it's factual. Come on. Now.
But it's a really, I'm so excited about this. I'm just picturing you have 5 normal real estate agents on the show, and then Chris Rock is pretending to be a real estate agent.
Oh, here we go. Okay, you can do it.
No, it sounds like the best show in the world. But I'm very excited for the future. I don't know where I go next. I have a lot of thoughts of expanding my company into different directions. Do I really lean into the influencer type model, or do I just become effectively a lead generation business? There's a lot of ways that I could go.
Well, I was going to say, when you have a lot of success, and especially at a young age, okay, the both of you, does it ever get to a point where you say, the thoughts are a little overwhelming, I don't really know where to go next? And it's all natural, because I feel the same way sometimes as most people in this industry do, but because there is so much that we can grab and so much that we can take and make a success from. Do you feel like you're overwhelmed in just planning what your next step is going to be, or where you want that next step to be?
It's going to sound weird. No, I've never, I'm also in therapy, which is great. My therapist just listens to me rant.
And why you're not?
This guy.
I mean, I need to go to therapy.
You should. Oh my God, Vince.
Okay.
Game changer. Therapy in the gym. It just, and again, I've gone to the gym 5 times. This is this is a new development. But, what it comes down to is I've never really been nervous. I'm just so goddamn excited. Excuse my language. I'm so excited.
You should be.
New York City real estate. There's so much to do in New York City, and also real estate is such an inefficient market that there's so much opportunity to change things and to improve.
Let me ask you something about therapy, and I don't want to dwell on this.
Absolutely.
No.
Speaking of tangents.
Right, exactly. I don't want to dwell on therapy, but do you think the need for that, and I think I probably know the answer to this, do you think the need for that is driven by the intensity of the business that we are in, or that we want to be successful, we want to have that drive to make it in New York City, because if you make it in New York City, you'll make it anywhere else in the world? Is that what is driving the need to go to therapy, to kind of maybe calm down, or at least put things in perspective?
I'm so sorry. I'm going to jump in here.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I almost want to flip it. I think the kind of person that goes into real estate just kind of inherently needs, not therapy, but just someone.
I'm agreeing with you.
Because that's my biggest use is just it's an hour where I just talk about work and I just think out loud, and it's a very effective way to do it. But
what most people don't realize is this is a 24/7 gig. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You don't turn it off when you go to bed at night. Okay. You dream about it. You wake up in the morning. God damn it. Whatever.
Do you guys dream about touring apartments?
I dream about.
I do all the time. It's bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
but
cool.
I'm sorry.
That's cool.
But I interrupted you.
Just go over it.
No. It's the industry that we're in, but I mean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. 'Cause
Sure.
Is it the person or is it the industry that really causes the need? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think mostly you have a certain personality type that would want to. I mean, generally speaking, that would gravitate towards real estate. This is the kind of person that doesn't want a boss. Generally speaking, this is the kind of person that needs a lot of action in their life and needs to move around. Generally speaking, this is someone who has high aspirations. Generally speaking, this is someone who's entrepreneurial and wants to, put their own footprint and sort of build something from the ground up. So that kind of personality, I don't know. I'll just use myself for example. That's kind of me, and I have attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder.
I was going to ask you both that, but go ahead.
No, that's why I ride bikes all the time.
No,
I mean,
it's just a thing.
I mean, literally one of the reasons why I don't. I mean, it's not for everyone, but one of the reasons why I don't go to the gym is I need to part of riding a bike is I like seeing things pass me. That helps my brain. I need a lot of
I get
stimuli.
nervous when I see you on the bridge and you're pedaling along, and I'm like,
exactly.
okay, focus.
Do you go over the Brooklyn Bridge?
All the bridges.
The Brooklyn Bridge is the worst incline I've ever done on a bike.
It's,
it's
but when you
really
got this
and
going
it's
on,
so narrow,
and you're trying to go
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
bridge, it's like, hello.
But I know what you
Actually,
mean. Being on a treadmill at the gym is one of the worst things in the world for me.
Yeah,
Why
it's
you
kind of
still? That was
stationary.
cathartic to me.
No, you're it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I need things moving.
Well, because
past.
because you're stationary, but yet you're not. And I used to have the music going in my ear, and I was focusing on how many steps or how many whatever.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I do, because you kind of have to.
Sure.
Like I have ADHD. I got all of it.
Yeah.
After every workout, I will sit in the sauna, dead silent, no music, nothing, and just stare at a single point for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's painful, but like you kind of have to. It's like a good
That's
balance.
actually-
Boy, that's
you
a
know?
complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to me. I'm like this 24/7.
Yeah.
So you need 20 minutes a day to just.
Well, I totally agree with that. All right, listen, we have to take a break. We're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. We will be right back. Okay, everybody, we are back with Mike and Noah. So, Noah, just where does $1,000 listing shoot?
Sure.
Is it all throughout New York? I mean, I remember, I
Throughout
think
New York. Yeah.
several months ago you were all over Europe, and I don't remember really what that was about. Is that related to the show? Not related to the show?
Yeah. So I've now spread more of my wings as a creative. I'm also directing a car show, and so I was I was shooting a car show in France and Spain, directing it and EPing it, and then from there I was just traveling for the next 3 months just without a plan.
Wait,
in Europe.
can I ask what the car show was?
Sure, absolutely.
Now I'm
Yeah, because now you have
now I'm
tire
super
shop.
invested.
Right. So actually, this is kind of funny. So the car show, it's called Motor Riot, and it's about a company. These two guys that started a company like 2 years ago, and they're just trying to bootstrap their company, and they're trying to source classic cars for people all around the world, specifically buyers that are looking for, say, Land Rover Defenders and Land Cruisers and stuff like that. And so it's a crazy show. We follow them all throughout the world to go and source these cars. So most recently we were in Colombia like a few months, like a month and a half ago. Yeah, we were in Colombia looking for Land Cruisers. And there's all these things that, issues that come up, when they go pick up the vehicle, and then they got to pick up the vehicle, buy it on the spot, and then they got to somehow transport it to the nearest, garage to work on it. And then they have to somehow get it back to the United States.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's like Gas Monkey Garage, like turned up a notch. We'll talk about this after the show.
And the host, one of the hosts is the used to be the car mechanic for Paul Walker.
No way.
So that's like there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
That's
Okay.
so cool.
So you shoot around New York. How many episodes per season?
Sure. So right now we just signed with a very top production company, and so I don't know what it's going to look like per season. I know that we've just shot the second episode in Colombia, and it was awesome. And I appear on camera as the director, the crazy director.
Nice.
I don't know what the season's going to look like yet. I don't know where we're going to end up with any network. I would just like to get my first network deal. Thank you very much. And whether I'm on camera or off, whatever.
How does that compare to the structure of $1,000 listing though? Like how many episodes are we looking at per season?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what the network is going to ask for when we get a deal. I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20. I have no idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, but we're going to probably be in a different country for every episode sourcing another
1,000
vehicle.
Oh wait,
sorry,
no,
for the
$1,000
car show.
listing.
No, $1,000.
Oh, so sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay,
I was
so
trying to rein you
1,000
back.
okay.
in.
No,
Okay.
the car show is great,
Okay,
and I
yeah,
love
yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
it's global in the scope.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
$1,000 listing.
$1,000 listing. We've already shot 7 episodes for season 1, and we're going to put those out. Thank you. We were going to put those out in the fall. We're shooting a docu right now. I have a lot to say about this. It was my first, really my first TV show that I was building out, and with someone with ADHD and also an actual real estate agent, I was all over the place. Okay, I was trying to get appearance releases signed. I didn't get all of them signed, so some of these people don't have appearance releases. So I can't actually I can't put the episodes that we have on a network. Why? Because some of these releases aren't signed. So I might end up blurring 2 of the stars' faces, who by the way, we paid, shot for a whole weekend, but didn't end up signing an appearance release.
May
might
I
have to
ask
blur their
why they
face the
didn't
entire
sign
episode.
an appearance?
Because I guess it was a beginner's,
Okay.
stupidity. I didn't get the appearance release signed right at the beginning.
And going back to them,
And after going back to them, they both honestly, here's a kind of funny thing. They are probably worried about their image, which is so ironic because this is a breakout show. This is going to be a great show.
Just superimpose
But
my face on.
there you go. There you go.
I'll
So
sign
we're just
anything
gonna
you
blur
need.
their. So the worst case scenario is we put it up on YouTube and we need to blur their faces out for the entire episode. So we're gonna have a star of an episode whose face is totally blurred out the entire episode.
So are you posting everything on YouTube, or are you going?
Yeah, we're gonna do YouTube
Nice.
for this first iteration. We're also gonna make a docu.
I'm a big YouTube fan.
Yeah.
I think they are the biggest streamer.
For the
2
people, by the
billion
people.
right?
Right,
Listen,
yeah.
all the cable companies, including mine here in New York City, now include, aside from Netflix, YouTube as an app choice that's free. I mean, you can get it on your device free anyway. But when I go to app, because I want to go to Netflix or whatever else, YouTube is there. And I got to tell you something. Watching a show on the big screen, like I watch this show on the big screen, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Right?
And
it's interesting.
I will say this: one of the cool things in $1,000 listing, besides ceilings being too low and windows being too small,
Well, that's
and,
okay.
and falling over crap in the middle of showings, and people not being able to afford things or having really low credit scores, all of that's great. But besides that, Ryan Serhant, the one and only, will appear on the show, firing me off a $1 million listing.
That's
on $1,000 listing, as well as a bogus launch party. Not bogus. I actually ended up selling this while I was on his team, but another launch party for some condos while I was on his team. We have these 2 funny scenes that Ryan's in, and I'm excited to put it out.
You just cut a 0 off everything you do. That's brutal.
All right, let's talk about culture and lifestyle.
Sure.
As it relates to making it in New York and being successful in New York, again, whether it's a show, whether it's a successful business, how does that help in shaping, your success? Understanding culture, understanding a lifestyle, whatever that lifestyle is, or better said, when I'm teaching cultural competency, in continuing ed, a new fair housing class, understanding culture, different cultures, different neighborhoods, different people, can only make us better and more successful as real estate agents. So just walking life in general in New York, it's the same thing. How important in your world is culture and lifestyle to connect with people, ultimately network, even though we don't love that word networking, and how it feeds into our eventual success? But because again, we live in the greatest, most gigantic melting pot in the world.
Sure. I think you can, if you are, let's go back to what we were saying before. If you are in the middle of real estate work and you are doing great things in real estate, yes, you can use that. You can then go out to these very high society sort of classy, like you can go to the New York Philharmonic, and meet someone there, and they say, hey, who are you? I'm a real estate agent. And they're like, oh, really? What are you up to? And then if you have a lot going on, then they're going to start thinking of you as someone who knows what they're talking about. They're an industry insider, and they're going to. That is the moment where you could use that quote networking to fuel other ventures with real estate possibilities, opportunities with people. I think you have to be already in action in order to make that work.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation yesterday. When you work with clients, especially really high-end clients, they want to feel not that you're necessarily like an equal, because these are people spending $10 million on an apartment and I'm still renting, but they want to know that you understand their world. They want to know that you can pick out that certain Patek on their wrist or the Maybach that they're driving. They want to understand that you understand these things. Whether I'm not going out to the Hamptons every weekend, but I can understand the geography of the Hamptons. Sure. That's really what it comes down to. But when it comes down to other cultures, that's one of the best parts of the job. Like, there's nothing more. And just, sometimes it's a hit or a miss. But I'll have someone who tells me that they're from, they're just they're from Nepal, and I'm like, just tell me about it. Tell me anything. Tell me what it's like growing up.
Absolutely.
And you learn so much, and it relays back, because the next time I have a client who's from that region or something, I now know the smallest bit to start that conversation, and make them at least feel like someone's interested in hearing about them.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Okay, so I think what you were saying is 100% correct. I will just draw a distinction here. I think 90% of what's going on when you work with someone new is, do they like you, and do they think that you are someone in the know and are in action and doing good work. The other 10%, and this is what you were talking about also, the other 10% is this weird word called signaling. Okay. Yeah. The other 10% is, I know about that Maybach, or I have that Patek or Patek, whatever the hell you call it. I know, if we're at dinner, I'm going to put my fork and knife at 10 o'clock, once I'm done with a plate. Or I'm going to,
I didn't know.
I'm not going to say someone close to me. Someone close to me was coaching me on getting the fork to my mouth way slower than I'm just normally doing it naturally. Also closing your mouth while you're eating food. All these basics. If you don't do that around people who are like high society people and high positions, and you're trying to work that level of the market, you're going to be signaling yourself out of a role, out of a job. If you do know it, on the other hand, those little subtle things will get you into that
without a doubt.
into that bracket. Yeah,
without
for
a
sure.
doubt. And it's to your point, like, there's a lot of realtors who will, and to an extent, I think it's important to, if you're doing well, to go buy, look, a Patek is 40, 50 grand. Maybe don't do that. But go buy a nice watch that signals to people, I get it. Like, I understand these things, Again, same thing. I'm not taking a chopper out to the Hamptons. I don't go to the Hamptons. I go to Jersey. But it's very important that clients know, this guy gets it, and he interacts with other people who are in my general socioeconomic class,
right?
Yeah, but there are also people who like to play that role of, coptering out to the Hamptons or doing whatever, or wearing that. I mean, I have a Rolex. I haven't worn it in a year. I mean, it's like, a lot of money. Yeah. But there are people who like to play that role. It makes them feel good. But your point is 100% well taken, because it's fact.
Yeah,
and they want you to understand.
Without
correct.
debt.
Well, but they want you to understand, who they are, where they come from, because, they want to be treated, I believe, in a certain way. And they should. If they're spending $5, $10, $15, $20, $50 million on an apartment, hey, come on now.
I think the real thing here is they want to make sure you get it. They want to make sure that you understand their community and their world.
Correct.
Right? And if you signal that you don't get it, and that you've not eaten out at a nice restaurant, or you don't know that much about the Hamptons and you're trying to do business there, it's these subtle things come up and someone gets cold feet.
And I'll tell you this,
I agree.
I've spent so much time making sure that I know, the pains of someone moving to the city for the first time, renting an apartment for $3,000 a month, as I do when someone's spending $6 to $10 million.
Absolutely.
Because I can go back and be like, hey, I remember getting a COVID deal in a rent-stabilized apartment, paying $1,900 for a studio.
Hey,
so happy.
What I've said for years is that person paying $3,000 a month in rent will eventually buy something.
Oh, yeah.
And then buy and sell and buy, and then they may get up to that $10 million mark at some point based on their career. All right, one last question. We've got a few more minutes. What is the best thing about New York City for you? What do you love the most about New York? I know it's just
so easy. No, it's actually so easy to answer. This is the one city in the world, and I've been all over Europe now at this point, and one country in South America. Unfortunately, that's actually awful sounding. But I would say that New York City is the one city in the world where you can expect it to be living 10 lives in one day. If you're really doing New York City right, I think normally you expect that you're going to hop an Uber or a cab or whatever, and you're going to do this at 10, you're going to do that at 12, you're going to do that at 2, you're going to do that at 4, you're going to go to that dinner at that time, you're going to go to that party, that after party, and then finally you're going to get home and your day is over. You're going to have done, like, you'll have met several parties of people in one day. You'll have gone to several different restaurants or blah, blah, blah. I mean, you will have done so much in one day. You might have gone to several boroughs in one day. That's the New York experience as far as I'm concerned.
Mike, the best part of New York for you?
That's tough to follow up. I was going to say the food and the people. Like, I go back to the suburbs occasionally, and the food is terrible. The sushi is plastic. I don't.
We get so spoiled.
I'm so spoiled. I know.
I'm the same way.
But and look, we talked about it earlier. I can't stand networking, but the people that I meet in New York City it's just so interesting. Everyone, because to go back to the first question, you got to do something different to survive here. I hate to say it like that, but like everyone's got their own thing, or they're working on something, or they're thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
There's always good conversation to be had. There's always a good connection to be had. I was with a client yesterday. I didn't know what he did for a living. And we were just chatting, and he goes, "Oh, I do X, Y, Z." And I was like, I do that too. And he's like, "Oh, get out." We got coffee, chatted for like 2 hours, and now we have new ventures that we're chatting about. That doesn't happen in many other places. Maybe in LA, but
I don't even think in LA. But
I don't
anyway,
think so.
Good point. Noah, Mike, my God, thank you. Great conversation. We're coming back with my thoughts of the week right after this. Okay, everybody, we are back with my closing thoughts for the week. Real estate agents venturing into reality television have transformed the perception of their profession while opening new avenues for personal branding and business growth. Shows like $1 Million Listing and now $1,000 Listing provide a behind-the-scenes look at the high-stakes, glamorous world of real estate, showcasing the agents' negotiation prowess, market knowledge, and lifestyle. This exposure not only elevates their status within the industry, but also attracts a broader audience, including potential clients who may be drawn to their charisma and expertise. Reality TV gives agents a platform to demonstrate their skills and build personal brands, which can lead to increased business opportunities and a loyal client base. However, the blend of entertainment and professional life also means that agents must clearly manage their public persona and maintain credibility and trust in the highly competitive field we work in. And many people have said to me they question the reality of reality TV. And that's our broadcast for today. Thanks to my guests, Mike and Noah, for being here on set with me. You can follow me on Facebook, on Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok at Vince Rocco, or my website, thinkvince.com. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And from all of us here at Talking New York Real Estate and the More Network, to all of you all around the world who listen, thanks for spending a part of your day with us, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.